there was the potential, the technology team, amazing results from the lab, the license with the university, the IP and everything. That's for the investors at that moment. It was very difficult to do due diligence on that because it was more about what will happen in the future and what's the potential, but not really what's there at that moment. I'm Chiara. I have actually a PhD in synthetic biology, so I'm a scientist from background. And now a year ago, we started B-COS, so it's a spin-off of the University of Ghent. And what we actually do, we make this kind of plant vaccines. So they are carbohydrates that when you put them on the crops, they actually activate the defense system of those crops so that they're getting more resilient and can defend themselves actually against diseases. So with a big aim to reduce pesticide usage. And we've raised now 1 million euros. It's a combination of funding from VCs, but also grant funding.
Amazing. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you, and congratulations. Having more academics move into commercialization is very exciting to me. It's like, it's kind of scary. Like leaving the comfort of the lab to like, oh, we're going to build a business now.
Yeah, but it's also very nice because as a scientist, you get into the research because you believe in it or you want to, you want to research it, but you also want to create an impact. And the fact that you can do that as a scientist, that you can get out there and out of the lab and really, valorize that research, that's for me a very big drive to start a company and also now to do what we are doing. That's very nice. Yeah.
Amazing. So how did you meet your lead investor?
Well, we don't really have a lead investor. So there were two investors that normally actually invest. So we have the Agri Investment Fund and VP Capital. They normally invest in a later stage, but they really saw the potential of our technology and of the products and of the team. And they then now invested in the pre-seed round. So they were maybe a bit combined leads, but not really the lead as you see for a classic investor round. And how we met them, I was actually already in contact with them for one of them actually for years. I met them when I was still a postdoc at university, and I contacted them to have like first chats to introduce about what we were doing at the lab and what we wanted to create in the spin-off company. And then I had several updates with them over the years. They also gave me some inputs on how they saw the market, evolve. I also incorporated that in my strategy, and that is that by actually knowing them already for quite some time, that really helped them to when we really needed now to fundraise, that they already know us, that I knew them, and that there was kind of trust that we could start from.
Amazing. And what I'm curious about when I hear about spin outs, the first thing I'm curious about is how did you negotiate the deal to spin out the tech from the university? Because a lot of deals just fall apart right there. Like you don't have full use of the tech. You have to have high royalties. The university wants to send you cap table, and usually universities are terrible, cap table partners. Like, how do you do that practically? Because this was research you developed in the university, or this was somebody else's research that you took?
No, I was indeed. It's really or part of my research. Of course, there was research that was going on already for 15 years at university, and I joined then now 8-9 years ago. So there were a couple of patents, also a lot of data, of course, knowledge. But what now the University of Ghent did, they have like this fast lane program. So it's a new, very standardized deal structure. So you cannot really negotiate a lot of things. It's more about, they create also templates for the shareholder agreement, for the license agreement. And there are a couple of things, of course, wording and stuff that you can still change, but the deal structure is fixed. And that's all with the idea so that you can incorporate very fast. That when there is really a potential in technology and there is a team, that there is indeed not negotiations of sometimes more than a year. And that is how we could actually incorporate in only a month time, because we had that fixed deal structure. But that also made it a difficult hurdle during the fundraise and the conversations with investors, because it was a new type of deal structure that no one ever saw. And we were also the first company to spin out in that deal structure. And it was sometimes for the investors, but also for us, difficult to really understand how do we work with this deal and what are the implications, for example.
Can you open up the deal? no, maybe not the specifics, but what are the elements that are in the deal? Is it royalty? Is it equity? Is it a buyout when you hit a certain amount of revenue? Like, what is the deal structure?
It's a combination of royalties and of equity, but all very low numbers. So that makes it also very interesting. It's very founder friendly because the equity share is very low. Also the royalties are very low. That makes it, and also the IP is only transferred after a fixed amount of years. And then you can, or it's not immediately transferred, but you can get into the negotiations about a potential transfer. So there's a lot of elements there that also makes it, I don't say it's complicated, but there are a couple of elements. And that's also something that was never done before. And that makes it sometimes difficult to really understand what will happen with every element, what is the implications on the IP, what's the implications and on the royalty, because it's also aligned, of course, to your business model and you go to market. And that took some time to really understand all these different elements.
So like, if you would just open up, I consulted for a company that was actually in an AI development for pesticides as well. To not be named, they didn't make it, so I can't say it because that one didn't make it.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons it didn't make it was the issue was the fact that the licensing was extremely narrow, and also it was like only this crop, only this geography. Like, how narrow is your license?
No, it's very broad. So it's really a worldwide license. It's exclusive for us. It's perpetual. It's non-irrevocable. So that's all very nice. And it's also, we are in crop protection and agricultural sector, and it's also focused on that. Of course, we have a platform technology. Our products can also be used in other markets, and we even have options for a couple of those other markets. If we get into those markets, that we can also use actually the license for that, or get back to the university and be the first to negotiate with them. But you also have a lot of other markets that we probably will never get into, and for that we don't have access. But that doesn't mean that we always can go back to the university and speak about it. So it's actually still it's a very good license, and it's really what we need at this moment.
So this is an interesting question. I'm curious about if you would put a dollar sign to all the amount of research that went into this development of this technology over the years. You said it's like a 15-year project or so. That's headcount, that's equipment, that's rent. Can you give a number, because you'll see where this is heading, but a number to how much you think, if you had to recreate all of that as a for-profit company, how much would that be as a number?
Yeah, that's a couple. Yeah, that's a couple of million for sure.
Right.
It depends on what you all put into it, of course, and if you take into account the salaries of everyone, because as a scientist at university, you get it in Belgium, you get paid very well. But then, if you count everything together, the lab equipment and also the patents and IP maintenance. I mean, all the subsidies that we also asked for that we got. I mean, that's really a couple of million.
Yeah, and I think to our listeners, this is why, like, I really love these deals, because as an investor, you're essentially getting all of that for free. Like, you're getting something that maybe another tech would be like a seed stage TRL, and you're paying pre-seed funding on it, right? So there are complications, obviously, about ownership, LP, license, but I love deals like this. Like, it's a really great deal if I'm looking for an investor from de-risking the science, because all the public funds went into de-risking this technology.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's also often the only thing that's there at that moment, and especially for us, we were when we were really into the deal, into the conversations with the investors. It was around September, October 2025, so we were only incorporated for a couple of months. Of course, there was the potential, the technology, there was a team. We had some amazing results from the lab, but that's it. I mean, and then the license with the university, the IP and everything, that's for the investors at that moment. Yeah, almost the only thing that's really there. And you also saw in our discussions and negotiations that was a very important topic, because everything else, they didn't. It was very, very difficult to put to do due diligence on that, because it was more about what will happen in the future and what's the potential, but not really what's there at that moment.
So, Chiara, how did you deal with those objections? Like, so it sounds like what I'm hearing from you is that there was a lot of concern about commercialization. Like, is there a client pipeline? Is there like a proof that the market needs this solution? Is there maybe a regulatory pipeline? Like, what were the big objections that you were seeing, and how did you deal with those objections? I speak with founders raising every day, and they're all telling me the same thing. It's harder than ever to find investors who are actually deploying. And getting access to those leads takes time founders just don't have. Every month fundraising is a month burning runway. This is why we created FTW Plus, a community of founders actively fundraising. The world's most accurate agri-food tech investor database, plus connecting you directly to ideal target investors and a community of support and accountability. Guaranteed results or your money back. Apply today at www.joinftw.com/hub.
Yeah, even at the pre-seed stage, I mean, you also have to show your commercial traction or that the market indeed is looking for your solution. So what we are doing really from the beginning is to talk to a lot of potential customers, so we could really show what's the voice of the customer and what they want. I mean, that was very important at our stage of the fundraising, but also now we get into really more structured deals with those companies. And even if it's in a very early stage, but that they can, for example, test our product, that they understand how it works, how it feels, how it could be incorporated in their portfolio. Because also, as you said, regulation wise, it will take a very long time. We are in crop protection. It's that's especially in Europe, it can go up to more than 5, even to 10 years. So if you have to show to your investors that there is already interest now and that you can or maybe keep that interest for several of years. And that's also very important in the pre-seed stage. Yeah, because even if it's for some founders and especially probably for academic people, it will feel very soon that you really have to get into those conversations with the customers, but that's so important, and especially in agri-tech at this moment.
Okay, so what I would love to hear is how do you get in front of those customers? Because you have what is your offer to them? Is it you're asking, hey, help and just honest feedback, and you go to the university and saying, hey, university, you have all these connections probably with these corporates. Can you arrange meetings? Or is it we have a sample and would like you to test a sample? What is the value? What's the offer that you're bringing? Because sometimes you just say, hey, I'm just looking for a nice guy or a girl who can give me some feedback, and we got nothing, but would like your thoughts on this problem. And they're just happy to do it because it gives meaning to their life because they're giving it a chance to a startup. Or was it, no, we have a sample. We want to, we'd like you to put in trials. It's going to cost you, X amount for every sample. Let's have a commercial agreement. What was it like?
Yeah, that evolves over time. So in the beginning, when we were not incorporated yet, it's as you said, I was reaching out to the people or via the network of the university or my own network is just are you willing to have a 30-minute conversation to talk about it, about what the pains are of the sector and what you as a potential customer in the future would look for. And what helped very much, I was part of the EIT Food Seedbed program in 2022. So that was still a postdoc, actually only for a year. But that program was really based around having more than 100 meaningful conversations in 4 to 6 months. And they also helped us to get connections to these different corporates. And for me, it really helped me to shape to have these types of conversations. And then my offer was more, what is the technology? What's the potential of the technology? Asking a lot of questions about what the problems would be and how we could solve that problem. But now it evolved more to, now we really have samples. Now we really have a product. We have a minimal viable product. And we reach out to those potential customers and do you want to test it? Do you want to buy a sample? And we get into conversations with them. Yeah, probably you have to use that product in that way for that type of crop. That timing and application frequency will be the best. And so it really evolves from first understanding what the customer wants and then to really having an offer and a sample and a product to that customer. That's how it worked for us. And I used the network of the university first. But now I also have a very nice co-founder. She's also really coming from the industry, from the agri-tech. She has that very broad network in the agri-tech space. And that helps enormously that she can just pick up the phone and call someone of her network. Okay, I'm now part of this team. And it's really an amazing technology. And they also trust her for her experience already. And that helps to further build that commercial traction.
Okay. Amazing. And how do you generate revenue before you get regulatory approval? Is there a path where you can generate revenue or do you see this, look, it's going to take 10 years. We're basically going to need $1 million, $1.5 million a year. Okay, so then it's okay. I need to raise $15 million. Gosh, it's probably going to need to double that, $25 million. Okay, I need $25 million. Is that the way you're looking at it? And then maybe a third of that will come through grants. Okay, that's the path. I mean, $16 million in the next 10 years I need to raise, and that's the path around. Or is there a way to sell your way out of this?
Yeah, it's as you said, and then for us, it will be around 15 million that we will need in total, probably. And we have actually two types of products. So we have a whole product pipeline that goes into crop protection. So that's a long regulation route. And that means also, it will take a long time before we get some revenue. But we also have a product that's in biostimulants sector. The regulation there is also more easy. It's also national based. So we actually there already filed registration in Belgium. And there our vision is also that we can already start selling the product. So we have the aim to have a first distribution deal by 2028, 2029. So in that way, we can actually really start generating revenues. And that's also, we now have a bit of revenues from, of course, selling the product samples that we can really show to investors that there is a willingness to pay or that they are really interested in the product, but also from funded development. So for example, the crop protection companies that are interested in the product and the technology and that will already want to fund some of the research and of the development together with us.
Okay, wonderful. Guide me through the grant ecosystem, because I love talking about grants and governments. So how do you see that piece of the puzzle playing in? I mean, I've done a lot of looking at VLAIO and Belgium. Like, I'm a huge fan of Belgium. I cannot share with you the stories of how many times I've been to Belgium to try to figure this out. It's not working then, but it wasn't my choice. It was somebody else's choice. But like, how are you envisioning the grant ecosystem supporting your solutions, and what's the appetite in Belgium for that?
For us, grants is and will be a very important part of the puzzle because it's AgriTech. I mean, the exit horizons are also not that fixed. So it's for us a combination now of grant funding and then also open and open funds and family offices so that we can also extend our timeline a bit. And we have indeed a VLAIO research grant and also feasibility grants. So in that regard, Flanders is a very nice ecosystem to be in. On the other hand, it's also not always that easy to get VLAIO funding because what is very important is that you can also show that you have runway for the entire project. And when the funding comes in, that creates your runway. That's not good enough. You really have to have the funding for the entire duration of the project, and that makes it also very challenging. That often you have to raise funding before you actually can get a VLAIO research grant. And it also makes completely sense, of course, but that makes it, of course, challenging. But we are also applying, of course, for European grants. But I see there the success rates are often so low. You have to apply for a lot of these different grants. You put a lot of time and effort in it, and then but that's very low success rates. But that will also always be a very important part of the puzzle to also get funding from a European level.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that what you mentioned around, you need money in order to have these reimbursement grants or research grants, and that's I tell founders, I think about this myself, is that the best time to raise money is when you have money.
Yeah.
Right? Or you bake it into this capital stack proposal in your round. Like, look, we think we can raise $1 million here, but immediately that $1 million is going to fund another 300,000 of grants, and that's what you're deploying against, right? And you're building that capital stack model in agri-food tech. Otherwise, it's just to be very, very difficult. Last couple of questions this has really been a pleasure. You're really, really enjoyed speaking with you. How do you look at valuations, right? How did you? It's so hard when you don't have exit history in the space to bench against. Like, when I think about CPGs, like, we've had some really good CPG exits recently in fuel and gums, like, so we can know, like, okay, their revenue is this line, there's EBITDA is this line, we know how much they bought them for, so it's going to be like from 4 to 6x, maybe top line revenue. Like, with you, how do you bench because you have probably 4 companies that can acquire you in the world, 5?
Yeah, that makes it very challenging. I mean, there are indeed five or six that dominate the agri-tech world, and that follow into a merger and acquisition, or exit strategy is an IPO. But I don't know if that's really the way to go in the agri-tech space. So how I then do the valuation is more in, for example, I know what is needed or which type of money I need and how much money I need. And I also want to be very lean and mean in that, so that it's not that we raise, for some companies, they raised even hundreds of millions of euros. But if you have to convert that into an exit, that will be extremely different in agri-tech. So and that's also how I see it now, is I really want to focus on a couple of products, to bring them to market, to really show to the investors, but also to the market, okay, we can do this. We can bring these products to market. We can create revenues, and the platform works, but not with 100 millions of euros or more, but really with only what we need. Be also a lean and mean team, and in that way build our valuation, and that it's always realistic. Of course, it's not the valuations as they were 5 or 6 years ago, but that I can show to investors with every round, we further increase our valuations with these milestones, and that is just realistic, and that they indeed can get a certain multiple with what they invest. But that is my main opinion at this moment, is not to raise this very big amounts of money.
And last question on that, what makes you optimistic, right? There's been a lot of challenges, obviously, over the last 3 years. What makes you optimistic to start a company and to leave the comfort of academia? What makes you optimistic about winning? What's in your mindset tells you you're going to win?
Yeah, when I think about our company, it's really the team that we brought together. I mean, for a very long time in academia, I was on my own. I mean, I was the postdoc, and of course there was also the PI that I worked with, and I mean, she's amazing, and she really encouraged me to also start the company. But I was for a very long time alone, also to then get the subsidies and lead that team, also a bit of PhD students. But then from the moment I got to meet Walter and Maaike, so they were then my two co-founders, and that we can share that vision and mission, that for me was a very big incentive to also start a company. And now also that we see how the product works and really see the results on the field, that for me really, I'm becoming very optimistic that we can really create that value that we are creating, of course.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, I feel like you also looks like you're having fun.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and that's also, I don't say that I didn't have fun in academia. I mean, but it's a bit of an ivory tower that you're in, and for some of the things you're also working on your own island, and now you're really working with a team, and you go into the same directions. And so it's of course also very challenging at a lot of times, but you're in that together, and that I really like.
And then one more thing, I just realized, I always ask this and I forgot, which is, when I think about especially the area you're in, like there's so many giants with like unlimited resources. Like, why can't they just destroy you? Like you're like 3 people, you raise $1 million. For them, $1 million is like, it's a joke. I mean, they could just, why can't they just do exactly what you're doing, do it faster, better, get all those connections, they have unlimited cash? Like, why are you going to succeed when you have this big giants who control the market, have unlimited resources, unlimited PhDs? If they really wanted to throw themselves at this problem, they'd just throw themselves entirely into this and just squash you.
Yeah, that's true. And probably there are some that can do that. But what I also see is that, you also have to do that. I mean, we are also in contact sometimes with very big corporates that also say, but you are the ones that have the experience and the expertise to do the R&D and the time and the drive behind it. And they are often looking at us, at these small teams that are very resilient. And that actually, because of the fact that we don't have that big money, we also really want to spend it very wise. With every euro that we have, we really turn it a couple of times or try to use it a couple of times to actually create the same value as what they are doing, or to also really stress test a lot of things before we actually get into a certain experiment. I think that is also, the fact that you don't have a lot of money. I really believe that sometimes you can actually create more value than that you have all the resources available. Yep.
Amazing. Chiara, you've been such a gift to our audience. What do you think you can, offer to them? What kind of conversations would you like to have? How can you give to our audience? If I'm listening, I might say a founder or is there something that you feel like, yep, you could reach out to me about this, or I like thinking about this issue?
Well, for me, for sure, of course, I'm coming from academia. So everyone that wants to start a spin-off company or that just started a spin-off company or that deals with university and how to approach that or how to approach those negotiations, I'm very open to have a coffee, have a chat. I think that's also for me was very important in the last couple of months was to reach out to those people and to understand how they tackled everything. So that is really what I want to give back to the community. And hopefully in the next years, when I grow further into the role, it will be also more about the fundraising, of course, and how to tackle the negotiations with the investors. That would also be very nice if I can further grow into that.
And then how can we help you? What are you looking in the next 6 to 12 months? What are the challenges you guys are facing? What kind of conversations you're looking for? Or,
But in the next 6 months, we will probably start fundraising again. So we just had our pre-seed round, but we are really preparing now for the seed round, for really a bigger round, so that we can really accelerate on a lot of stuff. So of course, the connections to investors, I mean, that's always important. But we also want to further grow the team at that moment when we close the round. So also people that are very interested in the technology or in that space and that can help already have a first conversation. I'm also very open to do that. So that's something that I for sure am looking for. Or people that in the sector that already did a fundraise, a seed round or a Series A would also be very nice to have a chat with them.
Amazing. Well, thank you for this conversation. Learned a lot and congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you for having me.
One more thing. Don't close this episode yet. If you got value from this conversation, here's what I need from you. A 5-star rating, 1 comment, 20 seconds of your time. That's the deal. A 5-star rating means more founders find this content, and every time a founder raises, all boats are elevated. Every week, I pick one random comment and send that person a complimentary copy of Investment Climate, the book. 50 sales playbooks from founders who actually raise money during the fundraising winter. Real strategies, real closes, real numbers, not theory. So if you want a copy, comment below, and if you haven't followed the show yet, do that too. And if there's a guest you want us to bring on the show, just drop us a note or send us an email. We'll read each and every one. Until then, keep on raising.